I remember childhood without any friends. Just me and my imagination. Kids could be little demons. It was hard enough dealing with the ones in my head. But you meet a real monster, that's when you grow up fast. I couldn't deal with it alone. So I made up my own friend. Crim's my best bud. I don't know what I'd do without him. But there's some things we should keep locked away. Not the imaginary friends, but the imaginary fiends. Crim, where are you?
Hey, what is up, everybody? We're back for the first time in a really long time, and I got to bring my man in here because I think we've only done this. We wanted to do this as a running thing, but we got to pick and choose because we're both two very busy, pulp-loving men. Here he is, my brother, Shanth. What's up, bro?
Nothing much, man. I'm excited to talk about JUDEX today and talk about this book and talk pulp and extra pulp and all the fun things we love. I'm, of course, a Battle Brick bro, always supporting Battle Brick Road 2 by Eric Weathers. But I saw this. You're like, come on in, JUDEX. You told me about it. I watched the serial. I'm pumped. Let's make this book blow up.
This guy actually watched it. This is insane. If you guys are unaware, are obviously big pulp fans, fans of The Shadow, The Phantom, Doc Savage, the list goes on. And we've done streams like this in the past where we talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I think we did one looking at the Pulp Power book.
That was the one,
which is amazing. And Sean, a long time ago, we were like, oh, we should do a show called 100% Pulp. And we're busy guys, but this was a perfect another addition to it, bringing on Michael to talk about JUDEX. But first, let's say hi to people in the chat here. We had, let's see, Neff is in here saying, have a good show, nerds. Lama Gigante. Now, this is kind of ominous. He says, one day Phill will be usurped by Phill. And that's Phill with 3 L's there instead of 2. See that? It's very, is that a threat?
It's Phill from the future that comes back in time.
It could be.
I don't know how that would work, though, but go ahead.
Fastmaster Dan, good to see you. Hal Deer, Chimera, always great to have you in the chat. Dan Genovese, we did tweet this out. If you guys could be so kind as to retweet this, if you could, or re-exit, what are they calling it? Repost it. I don't know what's going on with the world today. Scrolling down here, Reese is here. Mighty Magic, good to see you. And Squibs, good to see Squibs in the chat too. Pile in, guys. We're going to be talking about awesome The Lost Art of Pulp and a new awesome comic you guys can get your hands on right now. I think it only has 3 days left. Let me check this. JUDEX. 40 hours left. Jesus. All right, let's bring the man in himself, the writer behind this, Michael Odin. Oh,
very, very classy. I like what you did there. That was clever.
of course.
Right
What's
on,
up,
Michael.
guys?
Nothing much. Glad you're here, dude.
Well, I'm glad I'm here. I love Pulp a good deal. My own self. A while back, Phill and I had even talked about doing some stuff.
Yes.
Because we're always, the discussion is, when does the shadow go into public domain, and so it's always like the thing of like, yo, we gotta do that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, you did Elysian Fields.
Yeah.
The first thing I remember you putting out there,
Yeah.
and then the Embrace, which I love the Embrace, and I can't wait for the next installment of that. That's gonna be freaking awesome. And then a couple, I don't know, from maybe like 6 months ago or more, you approached me about the JUDEX thing, and you're like, "Hey, take a look at this. What do you think? This is something I want to do in the future." And then all of a sudden, I saw some kind of like the preliminary art to that, and then you hooked up with our boys at Global Frequency, and then now it just exploded with this campaign, and it has so much more than just the book on it. Now you're getting into like masks and costume pieces and stuff like that.
That's insane. Aaron and Freak Girl are insanely good at their jobs, and when it came down to building this campaign, they would be like, "Hey, do you want to do a replica of the gun?" And I just went, we can do that. And I was like, "Yeah, man, we got it. We got it. That's something that we can make happen." And so, like, sure enough, no bullshit, we have a functioning cosplay prop that you can like freaking pull the hammer back, you can spin the wheel out, you can pull the trigger. All of the parts are actionable. Like, it's insane. And so I'm just like this is a indie campaign far beyond any of the means of what I've been able to do before, and it's been awesome to do, and I am really glad that I'm getting to do it with this book, because I think that this book in particular is something special.
It's super cool. 1 second here. Hostman Socrates says, Z Comics, I love some Pulp, reading Michael Moorcrook's The War Hound and the World's Pain right now. Awesome. Yeah, we are huge Pulp fans. Just the style that inspired so much going forward, and especially into comics as well, which we've seen over the decades, which is amazing. Like, you don't know it until you know it, and until you see the signs and have it pointed out to you. But that, I think, for a lot of people too, that's when people get hooked, to that aesthetic and the style. And I obviously pushed that forward through my Lost Pages work with the Masquerade, and just so surprising how many people that are fans of modern comics latch onto a character like that, because it's something that I think is, primal within the medium of comics and superhero storytelling, which we're kind of seeing come back now.
And 100% agree.
Yeah, and like Shanth, like the stuff that you're doing for Razorfist's book, like he's such a Pulp fanatic, and I think that, looking at a lot of that old shadow storytelling, like that's just such a lost art form of character design, motivation, and I see that a lot in JUDEX and a lot of the stuff in with what you're doing, Shanth, with Nosfero, like that stuff.
Oh, dude. What it is it's this kind of confluence of events. It's this amazing time we're in right now. And there's a couple of things, that Michael was saying that really hit a nerve with me that I've been talking about, which is, guys, it is, how do I put this? It is both the challenges of being an independent creator like Michael are, in many ways, there's some that are consistent. However, what we're able to do in terms of making things and offering great product to our audience has never been easier, in terms of, yes, print cost is expensive, but color, comparatively speaking, or black and white, quality of black and white, you know, and the richness you can get with the values you get in your print quality, paper stock, and then getting in touch with the audience. And I think that what kind of seems to be happening is, and I should say what we're doing right now. Please, and by the way, guys, please hit like on this. Please share it out. What we're doing with these streams, connecting with an audience, which is a major thing that we can speak directly to you guys. And I think that all this stuff with JUDEX, with the Lost Pages, with, Nosfero, and with, again, the piece I just did for Razor Fist, it's a bunch of us coming together and like we used to do at conventions in a sense, but it's even bigger, saying, hey, man, you like this stuff too? Like, we got to go to the gun and the mask, man. Come on, we got to go back. You can't just flip past that.
Dude, no, it's insane.
Look at that.
Look at that, guys.
That's so cool.
We're doing it. Let us know your backer numbers, by the way, in the chat.
Yeah, if you guys are back,
what's up.
Shout those out. If you've backed before as well.
Yeah, please.
This was I think this was a day one for me. This backing this one was
right
a
on,
brainer.
Man.
Super fun. And you're doing a crossover with Black Terror, the Bonds, Terror in the Trenches. That's insane too. That's
nice.
So cool.
Yeah, no, that was a blast to put together. Vaughn wrote a great little, like a great small, I think it's like 12-page story with the two coming together. I mean, very World's Finest-esque in how like they bump heads initially, but realize that there's a bigger threat at stake, and that they're on the same team, and so they're going up against this Nazi warlock necromancer who's revived a sexy vampire coven in Paris that also has.
I mean, terrible.
Wouldn't have that any other way.
Yeah. But we and the fun thing is the director of the original silent films was also the director of Les Vampires. So the design of the vampire coven is a modified version of the ballerina bat costume from Les Vampires, which is which is a nice little cinematic homage that we wanted to do.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. That's so cool. That's so awesome. So let's talk to you, Michael, about kind of how you got into the pulp genre and found out about JUDEX. I would love to know that.
So my dad, when I was growing up, my dad got me into things like The Shadow and The Phantom. And it just so happened to be that when I was growing up, we had The Shadow 1994 and Phantom, I want to say 96.
Yeah.
And there was also the animated Phantom of the Future show. I'm blanking on which year it was, right. The Phantom 2049 or something like that.
Totally, yeah.
And so like those were my things growing up. The Shadow is my. I don't even like calling it a guilty pleasure movie because I'm not guilt. I will argue with people tooth and nail that the bridge sequence at the opening of The Shadow is one of the best entries of a hero in any film ever made. It is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And Baldwin's laugh is what I hear whenever I read a Shadow book. That's it. He did such a good job in the performance of Baldwin and John Lone playing Shiwan Khan. It's stellar.
Yeah, it was fun. I grew up with that too. I had a video tape that my dad taped. We would rent movies from Blockbuster and then tape them on blanks for our collection.
Yeah. So I've never done that in my life, Phil. How dare you? Sorry,
I don't know what you're talking about whatsoever. That's
sounds odd.
Nothing I would do ever.
So
by the way, can we just talk about how sad bootlegging used to be? That's a sad. That's not a story you should feel you've done something wrong. It's more of a story you should go, oh, that was tragic, wasn't it? VHS.
I think I still have them too, boxes. But it was the Shadow back to back with the Phantom, and we'd always do those genres back to back. So that's what I grew up with as well.
100%. And then I think for my 5th birthday, my dad got me the radio, the audio cassettes of the of the radio show.
Wow, yeah.
And so I used to listen to those all the time. Man Without a Face was my favorite episode, and it also gave me the most amount of nightmares as a kid. I couldn't listen to that before going to bed, or I'd not sleep.
Yeah, man. There's some scary shit in those, man. I'll tell you, it's rough. I mean, you know, what's funny too is that when I was looking at this stuff, we're unearthing something in order to kind of meet a need. And we talk about, for me, a lot of the stuff I got into started with the black and white comics. Grips by Tim Vigil and Silver Wolf Comics back in the day. Faust by Tim Vigil again was a big book for me that I was reading. And I think that the thing that I didn't realize until recently with the print stuff we're doing, much like with film stock, is that black and white comics look dynamite because we get these really rich value ranges in the print job now. So I love seeing it. I love seeing black and white film now, and I love seeing, you know, black and white comics.
Speaking of that, Sean, have either of you guys gotten like the Blu-ray that came out recently for the deluxe version of the Shadow 94?
No, not yet.
Okay. So you need to get it because there's a whole special features section where they interview the crew, and the cinematographer reveals that he had done some he had filmed some of the prime scenes of the movie in black and white. And the reason why the lighting in the film was the way it was is because they wanted to do black and white, but the studio said no because of the expense of mixing the visual effects with the black and white cameras of the time. Like they have a whole slideshow of these black and white stills that they had used to try and pitch it to the studios, and it's fucking incredible. You want to talk about guilty pleasures? It makes me want. It's like I feel robbed now.
It's not the same thing because of what it does with the reds, but I will oftentimes set my TV and desaturate it to black and white and watch some of these really rich films in black and white. I can even play with the levels a little bit. And now you've got me excited to do that with The Shadow, because I bet they really filmed that with noir in mind, man. I mean, that's awesome.
They absolutely did. He straight up said that they took on, like, he was applying lighting techniques from like Casablanca and stuff. So they were using like you know, the golden age of silver screen production as a way to capture the feel of this. And I'm like, you guys are hurting my feelings because now I want that and I don't have it.
Yeah, man. And we are, guys, I just have to say to the chat, guys, we are one away from 140 backers. So we are at 139 backers. Can we get, who's a hero in this chat who has not backed this book yet? And let's get this to 140. Come on, guys. I'd love to hit 150, man. I'd love for us to do that by the end of the day. So we got to share this stream out. Share this campaign out, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we're almost to 30 people in the chat right now. Thank you guys for being here, talking about Pulp, talking about JUDEX, and trying to get a hero here to push them to we've got 40 hours left. Dang, 10. That's right. Now, let's talk about JUDEX.
Yeah. I mean,
let's do it.
Let's talk about JUDEX. So as Shanth mentioned when we were in the green room, and I think he even mentioned at the start of the stream, this was the original JUDEX was a silent film serialized silent films. That's where we're at today. But
I love it.
That's focused on this character who he's very similar to like Edmond Dantes, right? Like he's going after a corrupt banker who ruined his father and what have you. And that's like the core element of the story. And he's using these powers of hypnotism and everything like that. And a lot of comic book scholars, which is a weird statement to say, but nonetheless, they think that this movie served as a massive influence for Walter B. Gibson in The Shadow. And I believe even like the first or second episode of JUDEX is titled The Living Shadow.
Oh my gosh.
So like like, you know, and when you look at the original character's design, you can totally see how that could be the case. He's got the slouch cap, he's got the cloak. The only thing he's really missing is the scarf. But if you look at the like colored posters, the colorized posters of the 1916 film, the lining of his cape is red, right? Like there's all this stuff there to kind of hint to that, but it's obviously never been like like Gibson's never made a statement about it. But like, so this kind of got wheels turning in my head on how I could take this character. He's public domain, so why not? And so I decided to kind of reinvent him. And I made him this cultural defender of Paris during the occupation in the 40s. And you know, part of that was, you know, I had to. The one thing that was really missing from the character was something to tie the element of the cloak and the hat together, as I didn't think that the bareface would work. And on top of that, if you're in an occupied setting, like, they're gonna know what you look like. That's gonna make
Vichy might not be too happy that you're there, right? Like, if you're Free France, you know, it's not a good thing. Yeah.
So I came up with this idea to give him like this carnival masquerade style mask and build into it the facade of the scales of justice. And I really just wanted to make everything about this character tied to those themes, because you like these revolutionary themes of the French Revolution, like liberté, égalité, fraternité, and I wanted everything about this character to kind of feel tied to that notion. And I mean, even his weapon, which is called the Widow or Le Veuve, is made from the blade of the guillotine, from the Revolution. So like I really just wanted
that's fantastic, man. Can we just pause there? It's like it's amazing when people talk about Pulp, and Phill and I probably talked about this on our last show. Pulp is not merely an affectation. It's not merely this thing that we layer over things. The idea of, you know, again, the sword forged from the guillotine of the French Revolution is freaking amazing. And that's what Pulp is. It grabs you by the soul and drags you into it, kicking and screaming.
Well, it's not even the sword; it's his gun.
Yeah, his gun. Sorry, his gun. Yeah,
but like, because like I
was looking at the sword.
Because the sword is up there on the screen, and that's actually
yes.
This is one of my favorite pages, because it's a love letter to my personal love of French culture. All of these things are significant to French culture and literature and everything. So the first thing that you see there is the sword of D'Artagnan from Three Musketeers. The second is the letters of Cyrano de Bergerac. The third is the Iron Mask from Man in the Iron Mask, and the fourth is the Phantom's music box. And in my initial draft of this, I actually had, because the chandelier that's over him is also the chandelier from the Paris Opera House that the Phantom cuts down at the climax of the book. Initially, I had the red slippers of Esmeralda from Victor Hugo's Le Cathedral Notre Dame. But because we were doing the black and white genre, and because it is a very obscure literary reference that I didn't feel like people would get, like I cut it. I was like, we'll just do the Phantom's music box. People will recognize it. It's a monkey with cymbals. Like, they'll get it.
Yeah,
sure.
It's so cool.
But yeah, so like that was really the whole deal. Is the Pulp, as you were saying, is it's not just like everything has to have meaning, right? Like with Pulp, you know, you look at characters like the Phantom, right? His rings they're not just, oh, these look cool. They have meaning, you know, like the design of the suit in and of itself has meaning. Everything has meaning. The same thing with the Shadow. Like, you know, he doesn't just hand out these ruby rings because they look cool and they're a nice accessory. They have meaning behind them. You have code words and everything like that. Everything serves a purpose to build on the narrative and the mythos of each of these characters. And so if you're
Yeah, it's
going
like
to do
so
that,
soaked in this lore, like, and
Mhm.
style that you don't get anywhere else but this stuff. And that paired with like the purple prose of your hero, whether it be the Shadow
Yeah.
Yeah.
or Judex or what I'm doing with the Masquerade, like that's just the fun you're not going to get anywhere else. We got Brian Christgow in the chat. Great to see you, another pulp lover. It's good to see you, Brian. Hope you're doing
That's
well,
right.
brother. And if you guys are just tuning in, we're taking a look at JUDEX, talking a little bit about Pulp, and getting to the real nitty gritty on who this character is and all the stuff that Michael's been putting into this story, which is really cool. Which it gives very much a pulp feel to it.
Yeah, and it's been an absolute blast doing this script. And I came up with this initial story, and then I brought in Neff, and he and I have worked on this script, and I think hammered out something just absolutely phenomenal. It reads well. We were at Baltimore Comic-Con here this past weekend, and so there's a 12-page preview digitally that you can read on the campaign, and we effectively took that and made an ash can that we were given to people at the convention. Like selling it individually, you could get it for $1. If you had purchased any of the books at the table, you could get it as just thrown in. But like, we had people coming up to the table. We had this one guy come up to the table the morning after he bought it, and was like, "You guys can't be selling this for $1. You can't, like, that's criminal. This is so good." And I was just like, "That's just the preview. Like, there's a QR code in the book to the campaign.
Yeah.
You can go pre-order the book." And yeah. And so it was really great to see how receptive people have been to this so far.
Quality, man. It's the quality reaction. I mean, I think that's that was one of the things that Eric July said that really stuck with me, which is we've got to be an alternative and we've got to compete. And I think probably one of the most important things we're doing, what makes what we're doing in CG so important, is that the fact that we're competing, that this is the first time that independent comics have been going for a bigger audience, and every backer is so important on these campaigns, because it's almost exponential, because it's not only is it pushing back against the fact that there is work being made that people have contempt for the audience, but we know our history. We're going back to where this stuff started, the entertaining the audience, the serial. We've got to grab you and pull you in and get you excited. And then you see this rich artwork. It reminds me of one of the things I loved about Travis Chare's X-Men Wildcats Golden Age, when it was in black and white. I remember when that came out, and it just, the 1940s, it felt so perfect for it. And you see this, and you see, occupied France. You see this person who in many ways, of course, is tied to the concept of liberty and all of those things, but also is fighting against, the forces that want to essentially erase the individualism of French culture. And that just, it's such it's a compelling theme that I think resonates today, which is the fact that that we are not a collectivist outfit. The people in this space are individuals, they're individual backers, that come together to make something succeed and make something manifest, like this book. And it's really great, man. It's great to see.
I mean, I appreciate it, and it's been a blast getting everything together. I mean, from finding Fabrizio, who's our artist, and he does such stellar work, and it's like as good as this first half of the book looks, the second half looks better. Like it, and that's always the thing that's like incredible, is just when you think that you can't do any better, we do. And like artists are constantly improving, just like anybody. The more work you get put into something, the better you get at it. You get more like comfortable with the character. You get better at drawing them and maintaining their consistency and everything. Being more experimental with how you present them. And so, like, as great as this first half of the book looks, and that's not even the first half. It's like the first quarter, I would say. as great as this looks, the rest is even better. And like I'm so excited for people to see what we have in store for this little story here. And you know, this is just the beginning. I'm actually I actually got off of a phone call literally right before hopping on here, where we were Neff and I were jamming a creative session while they were heading back up from Baltimore to where they're at, and we were ironing out stuff and getting stuff set up for the second book.
Yeah.
And you know, the other fun thing is that eventually the intent is to bring in other creators and do little pulp vignettes and everything like that, so that people like once we've firmly established this character's voice, other people get to play in our playground. We bring in people like Phill, we bring in people like you, Shanth, and we allow them to have some fun with this rich character.
And that's the fun thing about all this kind of stuff. You know, I don't think, I'm trying to think if I can actually accurate. Yeah, I think I can. I think since I've been in Comicsgate, I'll have to look and really double check this, but I'm almost 100% positive. I don't think I've done a sketch that wasn't either something that I own or something that is a Comicsgate or indie property, because that's what I want to be promoting. I mean, Phil's got an example of that. 2 examples of that, I think, of me doing masquerade pieces, because if I've got, you know, whether it's, you know, this things like the Jobs, the Cyber Frog trading card, but the Iron Age space is where I want to be. And there's this thing about Pulp that I don't know how to describe that I just really love, which is that it really, we're starved for heroism, and we're starved for the kind of big iconic, you know, people who are, how do I word this? They can operate in shades of gray, but I think as Razorfist read that brilliant quote, that they're good. They have a powerful moral compass, and that's what everything's built on, is that moral compass, or else they wouldn't do what they did. And that's something I think that we all kind of react in, which is we're in this very gray time. And what's interesting is even a black and white pulp book isn't, it's not about the grays in many senses. It's about the richness of the range in between. And you cut off those ends, you don't have Judex. You know what I mean? You cut off those ends, you don't have the Lost Pages. You cut off those ends, you don't have Nosfero. And it's those extremes of good and evil that exist in that world. And I think, it's academic at this point about the Nazis. It's the evil as you can get, eradicators of culture.
Sure.
It's socialist.
that's the other brilliant thing about this too, is that, you know, I've actually had like a few people come out and be like, fighting Nazis is a tired trope. And I go, oh, I mean, yeah, Judex is fighting Nazis, but you apparently missed the other part of this pitch. Judex is Latin for judge. And so part of what Judex is doing is he's not just fighting Nazis, he's judging the people of his city for their inaction in the face of this oppression. What are they doing? And so, like, the real, and I don't want to call him villain, but the real antagonist of this first book isn't the squad of soldiers that's walking there. It's this French police officer who's working for the Vichy regime.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Don't you hear your city? Don't you hear how it's dying? Like, this is, you know, we talked about the language of these pulp characters, and so like one of Judex's biggest things is, you know, do you hear it too? I wonder. And he's speaking about the heartbeat of this city and how it's slowing down and it's dying, and the people of his city are of this city, which has been the cultural capital of the world for the past, probably at this point, almost millennia. You know, like they're letting it die. They're letting it go.
It's beautiful, dude. It's Louis, right? It's Richard Blaine, and it's Renault in Casablanca. It's oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. The young lady that Renault is and Blaine have a relationship with on and off again, who's kind of, you know, is she going over to the other side? And at a certain point, you know, that movie was about waking up an American who's trying to be on the fence about this threat to American culture and world individual culture, and Renault waking up too. That's what gives that movie its power. And you're right, man. that's beautiful to think of him asking the question, you know, beyond the tanks rolling in here. You know what I mean? That's more than that. It's were you captivated by this? Were you looking the other way? That's incredible. Beautiful.
Yeah. We got General Piggy in the chat. Member for 12 months. Thank you, brother. He says, Hail Pulp. And yeah, Piggy's a big fan of the Masquerade. And it's so cool to see like comic readers like Danger Vanessa. She says the Masquerade was her favorite part of the Lost Pages. And it's so cool to see.
It was my favorite part of the first book as well. Like I'm fairly certain when I did the review of your book for Up Your Geek, I was like, we want more of this.
Dude, me too. It's crazy because like I'm writing a lot, and I always have a part of me that pulls back to that pulp genre, and I can't. Yeah, and there's Masquerade throughout all of the Lost Pages books because he's a very seminal part of the series and like almost sinew-esque to the whole ongoing series. But his book is going to be book 5, like where we get like a full story of him. I'm just like chomping at the bit to get to that book, and I can't wait. Bobby in the chat says, "Is Zeta Raider a thing?" I like it. Yeah, so that's our memberships on our channel. So the Zeta Reader is the second tier, and that actually gets you access to our strips, which we explore more of the Masquerade. So we've been doing these Masquerade strips on our YouTube channel. Al Alonso's doing the awesome art, and
this looks so good.
Doing
them
kind of like phantom strips from back in the day.
Look at that! Look at that top.
Super fun way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Yeah, man. And I feel
it's so fun.
I have to say, man, how I feel about the Masquerade, man. Come on now.
I adore this character so much. I love everything.
So if you guys love
perfect, and he's this perfect blend of like Errol Flynn, Zorro, and the Shadow. It's like literally every single time I read him, it's like you've got all of these elements that I adore, and I cannot get enough of this character.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing to me too, because it's like I got into a big Count of Monte Cristo phase for a bit, which I understand happens. Some kids grow out of it. You don't know. You just have to love them.
Nobody should ever grow out of the Count of Monte Cristo phase. It's so good. Man.
It's so good, and it's one of those things that it's why I love movies like Ben-Hur, where it's like, what happens when you get to the end of your revenge? I mean, even movies like Princess Bride, of course, and books like The Princess Bride deal with that idea. Like, what happens when you get to the other side of it? And it's when I was looking at JUDEX, which, by the way, we should probably go to that campaign and refresh as a possibility here. But I look at this stuff is beautiful, man. It's like we look at this campaign, and I see this stuff, and I feel as though every one of us, and all of you backers, by the way, if we've got a backer, put your number in the chat if you back this book. It's got to be done, man. But it's like, let's refresh and see what we've got.
I haven't refreshed in a couple days, so it's going to be a big jump. Let's see, because I've had this open. There it is, 140.
We did it.
Boom! Shout out, chat. Amazing. Great work. Great work. Let's keep moving it. We got it. Onward to 150. That's where we got to go.
She got celebratory video.
Great ass! And you got your head all the way up it.
You got to love it, man. You got to love it. And Grey Wolf, it should be in your campaigns backed. I think it will have your backer number in there.
Yeah, it used to be right when you backed, it told you, but now you have to go to your email to actually see the backer number, which is
yeah. The first thing that you get when you back now is like, go on ahead and share, which is like, it was like, yeah, that's awesome. it would be nice if Indiegogo allowed us to share allowed our campaign to, show up on their platform otherwise.
Yeah.
But
Why would it, that sounds absurd, but tell me, what is your thing? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's and that's why, again, that's one of the reasons why we're here and why we're here promoting this, guys, is that I think the biggest thing is that we've got to make this stuff happen, and we've got to make it succeed by hook or by crook. Is it just? Is it fair that this stuff goes on with shadow banning? No, but I always think that our group, man, Comicsgate, this outfit, and the folks that are in the Iron Age, whether they're Ripaverse or Razor Fist fans, I think it all kind of crosses over. We're able to overcome this because, again, the getting directly to the audience is easier than it's ever been. So is it an obstacle? Is it frustrating? You bet. But you guys help us to realize it's easier than going around with a tote bag or going to conventions and trying to pitch this stuff. And backer Elder's got it, man. He was backer number 21 on this campaign. Shout out to you from way back. I love it.
Oh, dude, Crazy Mad as well. You posted up in the chat. Crazy Mad backed was one of the two people that have backed the full Judex, and he got the when we put up the Rich Ayala piece of his print that people are getting with the book, he got that as well. So it's been awesome to see the support from the community. It's always fantastic. And you're absolutely right. At the end of the day, this all comes down to us going out there promoting and everything. And that's always been a big thing that I've firmly believed in as well. And I'm sure Phill can tell you, especially back when I was doing Elysian Fields and the Embrace, I was on 5 or 6 streams a day, a day. Just because people didn't know who I was. Right. I was brand new. I had no industry credentials or anything like that. So I had to. And now I have a solid enough base of people who have read my stuff. And I'd like to think that I've earned a reputation as a person that can tell a good story. And so I've built up my own little base, but it's always a surreal feeling when you get somebody that you've never seen back your book before backing a book. And you're like, yes, a new person.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And it's one of those things to where it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. This audience's support, and we were talking about this, and I'm not gonna show it just at this moment, but it's I got the second proof because the colors weren't right for Nosfero. And it's almost like I kind of had to take it. Finally, I knew it was ready to go. And I kind of had to take a knee for a bit because it hits you in waves what it's like to have people show up for you. You just want to give them the best thing that you possibly can. Average or doing a half-assed job doesn't even factor into it. And we've got all these things we're trying to accomplish with the stories, with the art, with all of this. And guys, the work is so enormous. There's a reason why people have publishers and marketing teams. And for some reason, some still say comics broke me. Don't understand. But for those of us who are doing, everything, it's literally David and Goliath. I feel like I'm going to go into the Malkovich thing in a minute. It's David. No, but it's David and Goliath with us. And you guys show up. It's the difference between building towards something that is sustainable in many cases and building towards something that we can keep doing. And without you guys, without that continued momentum, it doesn't work. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to see us hit 140. And it's great. It's great. And I just went in and was looking at because I have this very common Comicsgate disease. I don't know if you guys have got it. It's called I Swore I Backed That. It's craziness. And I just went in to see what my backer number was, and I haven't backed it yet. And so what I've decided to do, because I didn't want to cheat and take the easy way, and step out. If we hit 140, which we did, I'm going to back it now and put us to 141. So that's what's going to happen now. So let's get this done.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Man,
how much I forget I've done. We got to do it. Got to do it. Has to be done. It's a
Absolutely.
moral imperative.
We got a
Yeah,
crazy man
let's get it.
member chat for 6 months says, yeah, this stream has 2 best writers in indies. Has the 2 best writers in indies. Damn. That's
great, man.
That's
That's
statement
high
right
praise.
there.
Is he-
There it
Crazy
is.
Mad, the man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Like crazy Mad's a good dude, and he and Arrogant Ape are like constantly fighting over top Embrace fan. I think Crazy Mad has it though. I think Crazy Mad's probably read the Embrace more times than anybody else.
I just love that there's guys out there, there's readers out there for this stuff like that, like you were saying, Shanth, that are allowing us to create this cool stuff, you know, because I love writing so much, telling these stories. Before the crowdfunding, the internet CG, all this indie stuff, I wouldn't have been able to do it without any of the backers. Because we were all, I mean, no one knew who I was before I did any of this, any Magic Cop or anything. And, you know, but I'm trying to even brush up even more. I went to Austin this past weekend for my birthday, or last weekend, I should say. And I don't know if you guys ever been to Austin. You guys have to go to Austin Books and Comics. It is huge. It's the biggest comic book shop I've ever been to. But I picked some awesome Shadow stuff up. So I picked up this. I don't know if you guys ever read Midnight in Moscow.
Midnight in
Howard
Moscow is
Bacon.
Beautiful. Yeah, man.
Picked this
Love
up. Dynamite. Beautiful art. And then I also picked, this one, Shanth.
Yeah, that's a
41.
classic.
Dude, Razor Fist just posted some pages from it, I guess, recently. And one of the pages, page 55, is one of the pages my brother colored. If you open up the cover and look at the colorist credits, you've got Mark Chiarello. You've got, I forget his buddy's name. I'm blanking. I don't know why. He's a famous illustrator and painter. And then Nicholas Egon Janeshig, my brother, who did colors on, I guess, a third of the pages. So, yeah, there he is. Yeah, that's right. John Wellington and Nick Janeshig. That's my brother. He did colors on that. And so Razor Fist posted page 55, which is one of my favorite pages in the book that was colored by my brother. So, yeah, friends with Mike Kaluta and all those cats. Oh, beautiful.
This is the Dynamite reprint. It was between one of the original ones, which is a little banged up, or this one. But I got this one because it's got the shiny.
I mean, the shiny wins out, right?
Yeah, it has to.
It
has to,
So I got that, and then when I came back home, my boss is like, "Hey, did you get the box that was out in the hall for you?" And I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?" And he hands me this, and it's a stack of almost the whole run of the '80s Shadow series, starting with Sienkiewicz.
It's gorgeous,
crazy Sienkiewicz covers. So I've been digging into this, reading that. Look at that. So cool.
This is my my brother who colored the book. Yes. He did a gouache painting inside of my copy for me of the Shadow, because he's a nut, man. He's amazing. But yeah, we're making this stuff happen, and it's funny because I started thinking about the comics that affected me, and I guess now's a decent time anyway. But so this is the second proof of Nosfera the Cryptwalker. So square bounds, ready to rock. Colors are great. We're deciding on the paper right now. And the thing about it that was so fascinating to me is people don't realize that, it's an 8.5 by 11 book. So it's oversized. It's a pretty big book. And it's funny enough, speaking of JUDEX, which we're talking about today, there's the Liberty logo that's on all my streams and everything like that. But the thing about this book that I have to say is crazy is that some of my heroes, people like Richard Corbin, and folks like that. But even the first books I got, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles first publications, I started looking back, the Rocketeer New York Adventure and the Rocketeer Collected. They were all 8.5 by 11 or 8 by 10 square bound books. So I'm starting to realize that it was a bigger influence on me than I thought it was. Like I'm going, wait a minute, there's something happening here. But it's like, you look at these pages. Whoa, let's see if I can figure out my dyslexia. Look at these pages. And the reproduction quality that, my printer, was able to get to make these paintings. Let me see if I can get that there. But to make these paintings, everything that they could be is crazy. I cannot wait to do. Whoops. I can't wait to do. Forgot we were on YouTube.
All good.
I can't wait to do a second printing of this. And in addition to, thanking certain folks like Phill in the back of the book. Did I actually even show you that? I did show you that, Phill.
No.
I did. Well, I had a list. I'll show you that after. But we've got the pages are going to fall out. But we've got this character's name, which is only referred to as once. He goes by Greylock. But you've got this character's name. Cool. My nod to Malin. But in the back of this book, because so many of my my fellow crazy creators who've been there and we've been doing this stuff from the jump. Oh, it's about to fall. Is somewhere in there. There it is, right in the dead center. 2 lines, second line down.
Oh, that's me. 2 L's.
Yeah, that's right. I got it done.
Wow. Thank you so much, brother.
So, and it's like, look at the stuff, man. This just went into Razor Fist. Just shared the tip of this for you guys who backed Ghost of the Badlands.
Gorgeous.
And it's like, let's make this stuff happen. But Pulp takes money, and Pulp it really comes out of people backing it. It's a capitalist venture, which is go to the audience, get them into it, get them hooked, and make great stuff. So when you guys back JUDEX, when you back Ghost of the Badlands, when you back the Lost Pages, when you back Nosferatu, I'm going to be doing a second chance on that. It's not going to be as cheap as it was for the first backers, because dang, those books are expensive. They're on thick paper. Yeah. But guys, look at what we are able to do. Quality will out. Excellence is what we got to do. We got to kill them with kindness, and we got to kill them with excellence. And we also got to have principles too. It doesn't mean we get walked over by any stretch, but look at the stuff we're doing. And when I see JUDEX, it lifts my spirits, man. So I'm backer, I guess, or whatever the number is. I don't know, but I pushed this to 141. So if you're in the chat, guys, do me a solid and check out this Battle Brick Road 2 as well by the great Eric Weathers. As Eric July says, don't ever get it twisted.
Yes.
Because we're trying to move things. We're trying to change things, man. Pulp, guys.
Woo.
Yeah,
dude.
Love it.
I'm thinking like, oh man, staying up really late and lettering these pages or writing whatever, and I'm like, I got no time during the day. And then you think of however long ago Walter B. Gibson was writing 2 pulps a month for the show.
Yeah, that's absurd. Oh, that makes my head hurt. I'm just like, oh god.
They were great, man. They were fantastic. They were great. I mean, they're crazy. These people are crazy. I love them. They're nuts. It's the same thing. We do these streams. We're spinning plates. That's what I like to see. We are at 10,300. We crossed over $312 because of all of you guys in the chat. Your support. It starts with backer 1. Congratulations on that too, Michael. By the way, that is huge, man. Fantastic.
And it's exciting stuff, and like, we're going to be doing I know that we're going to be doing a Kickstarter to follow up on this in October, and there's exciting stuff that I really want to share, but I can't because we don't have it in yet, and we're not jinxing ourselves. But like, there's going to be some exciting stuff on that campaign as well. But this will be the last chance for people to get like the mask and the guns, just from a standpoint of they're expensive and timely things to like make. So we don't want to have people getting the things last minute, and now we have to push back fulfillment because we've got to get them put together. Yeah. So I think that the mask, the gun, the full JUDEX, those cease being available once the campaign goes in demand here. I think we'll be keeping that up to sell original art and stuff. But like, yeah.
And I just realized that someone in the chat said they could tell I'm a Richard Corbin fan. So in addition to me referring to the shadow colorist as mi hermano mayor, Nick Janechig, underneath all the people I'm thanking, you can look at number 4 on there after H.P. Lovecraft is Richard Corbin. So and of course, lettered by the great Eric Weathers. And the first copy of Nosferatu, I made this promise to my chat, but also to myself. I live in Bristol, Rhode Island. And I went to college in Providence, Rhode Island, at the school. The artist who sculpted the Thulu relief, bas relief sculpture did I'm going to deliver the first copy when it comes in to H.P. Lovecraft's grave. So that's what we do. You know, that's the fun of this
awesome
stuff. So it's gotta happen, man, because it's like I look at this stuff and I just think of what your Comicsgate library is going to look like when you've got all of these stellar examples of pulp. I love my Comicsgate library, and I think Judex got to be in it. Yeah. Like again, I swore I backed it, but I have now. We've corrected that, and it's been sorted.
And I appreciate it, man. It's great because I backed, like, literally. I think it was Kimasabi sent me your campaign ages ago, and I was like, "This looks fucking awesome." And I hopped on the moment,
dude.
The moment I could.
It's been being in this space with you guys and being in and around, you know, Comicsgate, and it really, for me, it started with the Fandom Menace. Funny enough, when Ethan was talking Star Wars and all that stuff. Because I was only collecting old stuff at that point. And Comicsgate in my mind will always sort of be, you know, I remember the day Ethan was like, I am fine. You guys keep calling me Comicsgate. I am Comicsgate. So deal with it. You know, like, you're going to make me this central figure in this and kick me around. Fine. So be it. And it was this dream that we didn't know this many years out it would sustain. I've heard so many. I think Michael Deitch has said this to me a few times too, is that this is a different kind of movement because it's sustained, unlike so many others, you know, and it's the Iron Age, it's the Ripiverse. And so we sustain it by, in many ways, not by your Wednesday comic book run, but by, you know, your which, you know, is a huge part of life for a lot of us, but is backing this stuff in a sense to where it's like, you know, you're building your library. You know, we're hitting you with these books that are obviously, they're self-published. It takes a lot of money, resources, mailing, all of that sort of stuff. You know, when you back a book like Judex, you make it possible. But what you're getting for that is something that, to me, with these print runs, I mean, these are collector's items when they come out. Like, they're just like the first edition of this book, of Nosfero, of the Lost Pages. Like, you're back at the start, man. This is the demo tape, man. This is like, you're getting it right when it comes on the scene. And so don't sleep on these things, guys. Judex is where it's at. Look at this artwork. Quality is the key. And if you've got something of quality, I think you never miss out by backing things you believe in, you know, and that's what it's about. I agree.
I think it's wild to see how many kind of pulpy stories are coming out of, you know, Iron Age and CG and indies right now. I hope that, you know, these stories have long runs to them. And then I always love what Dynamite did with their, have you ever seen the series they did for a little bit called The Masks? And
I adored the first storyline. I couldn't get into the second one, and probably because I don't think the Shadow was. I think that was when they were kind of in a little bit of a dispute on whether or not they'd be able to continue their publishing rights on the Shadow.
Oh, really?
But like, like I think that was the big thing for me.
Because I loved the first one because Alex Ross did the whole first book. Like, he did the interiors as well, and it was like just mind blowing seeing, you know, the Spider, Shadow, Green Hornet, all that come together. And I hope one day that would be cool to do something similar to that, even if it was just like a one shot with, you know, all of these multi characters that are all of our buddies.
And I were actively talking about that. Like the other day, like about a month and a half ago, we were like, man, wouldn't it be cool if we got like all of the people doing pulp stuff, and we created a reason for all of them to exist in the same place at the same time and do like a massive team up. It's like indie pulp masks.
I mean, so cool. I would love to do that.
That's what it's about, you know. It's when I did I was doing the Paul Caster trailer, and I was playing around with animation, you know, Razor Fist hit me up and was like, you know, you guys may have seen that. I forget some of the shit happens on Twitter. That's the funniest thing about it. Like, I forget, like, it was out there. It was a conversation on Twitter. Razor Fist hit me up, and he's like going, when this goes into public domain, you know, I want us to do an animated, you know, Shadow. We have these kinds of pie in the sky, glorious conversations, you know, every now and again. But it's crazy. We've got to we've got to make sure we're generating, momentum on our IPs, which is why I think, as well, in addition to all this, which is why it's kind of like the cool thing about public domain is that we have access to these things. The great thing about the system of intellectual property rights that we have, which should never be taken for granted, that we have access to, is that when you create something, you take something that's in the public domain, but then you add new layers to it and you make it signature, just like what Vaughn did with Terror. You get this gorgeous work, and I'm excited about, I don't see this is the problem with the Shadow. Like, but there's no problem with the Shadow. Let me be clear. We love you, Shadow, wherever you are. And I will return those library books. But I was 8, how dare, but it's so perfect. I only want to see inflections on it. I never want to see it changed. Some of these characters, like Black Terror, when I see what Vaughn did, I fell in love with the character. When I see what you're doing with this character and the mask, it's something new, and I'm being brought into it, and I dig it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Shanth. I think that there are certain characters, absolutely, that like if it came into the public domain, it's not something that you're going to want to do any changing on. And in fact, like that's
so pretty.
That is worth the interruption. It's all good.
And
just look at how
Grey
pretty
Wolf
that.
Graphics has a great question there too, which is what's the story with the spiral gun barrel, and maybe that back to the origin of the spiral gun.
Really, the whole thing with everything about the Widow was I wanted to make a weapon that didn't just look like a gun. It looked like a special instrument of justice. And so I thought that one of the cool things that you could do is make it feel like a decorative piece. And so doing like a kind of twisted barrel on the outside, barreling normally is interior and everything like that. And so I really liked that kind of inversion aesthetic. And then you see the face that's kind of carved into the front of the gun by the right in front of where the wheel is. Everything that is the face of Le Marianne, which is the embodiment of justice in French culture, and she's even on the pistol grip. But I wanted everything about this weapon to scream its importance, because it's a character in and of its own self, in a way. In the hand of Judex, this weapon only has enough ammunition for justice to be served. So and on one hand, it can be like an unlimited ammo cheat, right? Like you can have an army you can have Judex up against an army of Nazis, and it's just going to have the bullets. You're going to be able to keep going. But on the other hand, and this is where it comes into that whole judgment aspect, right? We have this character that's working with the Vichy police. Judex is a judge. Whether or not this man deserves the bullet or not, the gun already knows. But Judex is going to determine it from his standpoint and will render his verdict.
I love it. The attention to detail, and I don't think I've shared this high res of the final before, but just because this is the cool thing when, we get together with Michael and Phill and I get together to do this Pulp show, which we're going to figure out a way. We got to find a way to get this in the schedule, and get like every 2 weeks or whatever we got to do. But what was really cool about working on that process is that, when you're, in this case, building the gun, and as you said, made out of metal from, a guillotine from the French Revolution, for heaven's sake. One of the things that kind of really gets me about all of this stuff is that we're just in this creative place that Comicsgate backers make possible, and while it's definitely the same thing with Nosferatu and his sword, this piece right here, Phill, I just shared, what I love about this is Razorfist picked this very specific gun for his character, and I could not find, it's one of the first automatics, and I could not find the right reference for it. I was trying to figure it out, and finally I realized it's Razorfist. I'm like, Razorfist, do you have a replica or a real version of this gun? He's like, real? Why? And I said, could you shoot some photo reference of yourself holding it in this pose? So that is Razorfist's hand and his gun posing for this painting. So that's the cool thing about what we do. And I think about, as somebody who paints representationally, I think about the 3D model and what you've built with this gun as only future photo reference. That's the, that's the only way I see any of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's about.
Absolutely. We actually had someone where they're like, I need references of the gun. And so like we had all like the 3D designings and character like turnarounds that we had done for the 3D modeling, and it makes that so much easier.
Dude, it's so good. I love that stuff because, you know, I want, you know, and that was the thing. Like whenever I do a job, I've got a painting for Michael Bancroft's The Lucent 2 Painted Death, my Brogan, and on the desk. But whenever I'm doing this stuff, I really want the work I make to bring people joy. And I remember when I did the Masquerade piece for Phill, and I was asking him questions, and I was like, ah, crap, I forgot the red feather. I still think that's hilarious. And it just is, it's the joy of doing this work. When I see this character,
you threw it on
dude, I have had to be done. When I see what you're doing with JUDEX, and I tell people, back the book, but also then go watch the silent film and realize that this book is and this is something I really feel like is missing in pop culture, which is why the Fandom Menace and the Star Wars stuff is, I'm very grateful that it brought me into this space, which is you're being a responsible custodian of this character, of this world, and you're also bringing something to the table. You're not humiliating it or reducing it. You're saying, I'm going to give the audience something that makes them want to go back and look at the original, and then makes them connect with our version of it, the version we made as a love letter between artists across generations. You can't do better than that.
I think Michael
Oh man,
got him.
Yeah, JUDEX got Michael. So there you go. Yeah, see, look at this, guys. If we don't get, more backers, what are we going to do? They took Michael away from us. Terrifying.
Disintegrate.
But it's great stuff, man. So it's did you watch the serial of this yet, Phill? Have you seen the
No, I have not.
serial?
Would you recommend
You'll love it. Dude, you'll love it. It's 30 minutes, and it's obviously during the birth of cinema. But what I love about it is that the silent film and the pulp, genre work very well together because of the dramatic acting. You know what I mean? Because of the over the top, way of doing things. And so when I think about the Masquerade, and I was painting the Masquerade, and even when I'm thinking about doing a color piece for Razor Fist for his book, which I believe is also black and white, you just sort of look at this stuff and you kind of dream a little bit in black and white with great cinematography. Even if it's in color, I'm thinking of like Michael was saying before about the colorized posters for silent movies. That's kind of how I was thinking about the Razor Fist piece. And with Nosfero, I'm like, what if when you saw the cover of a pulp, and it never stopped, you opened the book up, right? And then it never stopped. It was just full, like the cover started to move and show you panels. And it's such, dude, I know we've talked about this because I kind of get freaked out when I look back and see how long I've been friends. I look at our text chain and I'm oh my Lord, it's been a minute. And you going and getting me the Steranko catalog. I never forget stuff like this ever. And I'm just, that's how it is with me. And, because it's about the sharing of it. And that's what made this so fun. And if you guys haven't yet, something that Phill and I've really kind of obviously bonded over is check out Razor Fist's many pulp primers to understand the full gravity of what he's doing with the Lost Pages, what I'm doing with Nosfero, and frankly, everything else I do, and what Michael is doing with, JUDEX. It's like we're trying to take this very, guttural, raw, as what were the 3 ingredients Steranko said? Phill, you know him.
He said danger, mystery, and sex appeal. That's what all he put into all of his pulp covers that he did for the Shadow.
Yeah.
And that's what
we're waving that flag, pulp. Man. That's what we're here to do.
He's the man.
That's what we're here to do.
I got to that when I picked that catalog up for you, because when I went to Youngstown for his museum, of course, man, I got one for myself, And when I came back, I'm like, damn it, I should have got one for Shanth. And so, well, I went
I think I even busted your balls on that a little bit, but I was honest to God, man. This is the thing about it. If you have to choose between two things, right? Which is, and this is the crazy thing about it, right? Is getting a book or having a new kindred spirit who's passionate about the same things in your life. It's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And the friendships that we make in this space, people like Aldous and everybody who are into this stuff, man. It's like that's to me what makes it great. Now we can sustain it only if we've got these guys backing our books, and I'm grateful for each and every one of my backers and all of you guys in the chat. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just listening to Steranko talk about, kind of like his storytelling ideas, and I was showing him the Lost Pages too, and he was flipping through it, and there's here Odin is back.
There we go.
What's up, Michael? We thought Judex got you.
Yeah, we were concerned. I can't hear you yet, Michael. Are you talking? Are you muted?
You might be muted. Michael.
I feel like we can't hear you yet, Michael, but I feel like this is the concern. Judex is everywhere. And if you guys, aren't backing the book, he goes after Michael. I mean, it's one of those things. He's like, seems like this Michael guy's Vichy. And it's like, no, he's not. We're like, no, that's a vicious rumor.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. That's exactly right.
Well, hopefully Michael's mic gets back soon. But yeah, when he Steranko was flipping through the Lost Pages too, and there's a spread in that where the silhouette is just shooting up.
We got Michael in chat saying, yeah. Oh, sorry. We got Michael there saying, not sure if I'm going to make it back on my signal just died, and my phone is about there as well. Understood. Don't worry, Michael. We got you.
Wrap up in
we got you.
Yeah. We'll wrap up here in a second. But yeah, so Steranko was looking at that spread of the silhouette just blowing away all these thugs, and he's like, oh, this is really cool, but what about if you thought about it like this? If instead of, killing these thugs or whatever, he turns the tables on them and puts, the evils that they've done onto themselves, which was, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that's such a Shadow thing. The Shadow would always turn the tables on the evildoers, and whatever terror they were putting onto the public or whoever their victims were would fall upon themselves. I'm like, of course he would say something like that, because that's totally Pulp. That's like every time, and I'm like, yeah, I do that, but with my other character in Masquerade, who's more of the pulpy character, because I want to, carry on those storytelling tactics that the Pulps did with that through that character. So it was really cool to see his perspective on that, still being that old school guy that would read these Pulps when he was a kid. It was so cool.
I mean, if Steranko tells you you got to do something, you got to find a way to do it.
You gotta do it.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, how many people can say this? And we talked about this. Hey, Groomsman, what's up? That's my brother. If you back Terror in the Trenches, you can see one of his pinups in the back of the book, which is one of my favorites, and a great dude, great artist. We're going to be doing some fun stuff together soon. And the thing about it is this, again, we talk about this sort of thing that's it's a product of the culture war, and this and I want to make this as basic as I can, because it's not a complicated thing. It's not a political thing in so many ways, although that's the mechanism. It's a social thing. It's the breaking up between our history, which we draw tremendous strength from, experience, our storytelling experiential history, and modern, quote unquote, modern storytelling. And when you see someone like Phill sitting down with Steranko, it's bigger than just two people talking. It's an entrusting with these ideas, these values to the next generation. And when you see us talking about this stuff, we're not just talking with you guys who may or may not be older than us or may not be younger than us. We're saying, hey, listen, we're a link in this chain. And when you guys back the book, everybody who gets this first printing of Nosferatu, everybody who's got their first printings of Lost Pages and second printings and have this stuff in their library, it's a statement of your connection with the pulp reading audiences that have lifted these creators up, the Sterankos of this world throughout history. without the audience actively engaging and enjoying the work, and without the creators carrying it on. You got to have both. You know, that's what it is, man. And we're grateful to you guys, and grateful to Steranko, God bless him, and our fellow brothers like Razor Fist out there, and folks like that who are preaching the gospel of pulp.
Definitely. And I just wanted to shout out my buddy Ghost House, who's in the chat sometimes. He got me this just so I could be cool like Steranko. I got this
there it is.
Comb.
You've got the comb,
so I could hang with him.
I love that. I had one of those. I promise it was a comb,
and it's metal too. Yes.
You gotta love it, man. You gotta love it, man.
Before we go here, I want to show off to some people, because we've been talking about Pulp. The Masquerade has come up a couple times. I wanted to show this piece out. This is just one part of a page that you'll see the Masquerade appear in the Lost Pages 3. He makes a pretty cool cameo, and I think these colors just popped on him. Look at that.
Come on.
Freaking so cool. So he makes an appearance that's pretty important in here as well. And Ricardo killed it on how he looks, and just everything pops about the character. So I can't wait to inject more of him into the Lost Pages, and then when we get to his official book, where it's his time for one of his stories to be told, it's going to be a total throwback to Pulp and the Shadow, and kind of those crazy first iterations of like actual supervillains from back in the day that Walter Gibson was putting into those Shadow pulps. So I can't wait for it. And it's crazy too. Like,
you know how I feel about it.
All the artists that have come to me being like, I want to draw the Masquerade, you know, like Plagal, Dan Dahl, all these guys just have a, I don't know, visceral connection with the Masquerade. And I'm super grateful that it's attracted so many awesome talents. So cool.
You know, the thing about Masquerade, the thing about all this stuff, and something I want to make sure I say about Comicsgate, because I think it's something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about it this week in the best sense, which is how do I put this? The best things you will ever get out of Comicsgate, in one of my personal opinions, is that is reaching out to people and connecting with people because you have this shared passion and saying hello. It's not about, you know, the connections and the this and the that. Like, people think about that stuff sometimes too much. And when I walked into a comic shop, I was just looking for somebody who was into the same stuff. God bless him. My comic shop owner, when I was a kid, had to talk to me so much. I just come in there and be like, and then what about this? Like, that poor man, God bless him. And when I think about people, and I see my brother Eric Weathers, who lettered Nosfero, check out Battle Brick Road 2 on its own site, guys. Drop that link in the chat. It's if it wasn't for these relationships, these are life-sustaining friendships and connections with fans that really lift us all up. And it's a beautiful thing. I never take it for granted that when you come into a space with the attitude of just reaching out to people and just connecting with people and just enjoying it, not having to, like, you know, be too I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but not disconnecting yourself from the fact that we're passionate fans, you know. And that's how I reached out to Phill. I didn't know Phill. It makes me laugh how many people I didn't know 3 years ago.
Right.
And how many people that I text with regularly now.
Sure.
You know, and I'm just like, hey, man, here's this art I'm working on. And you're sending me stuff. Hey, here's this art I'm working on. Look at this stuff. It's coming in right now. And I've got a new script and I'm lettering. I mean, what's better than that, man? You know, and JUDEX is again, the link I believe is in the description, right? And or in the chat. I think, is it pinned in the chat?
It's in the description, and I'll pin it right now too.
Excellent, man. Yeah. And so, guys,
everybody, great mods in the chat today.
Hell yeah.
What about you, man? I know you gotten your proofs in,
dude.
Going to print.
We'll talk a little bit here on this real quick, because I've got two different kinds of paper stock that I'm trying to choose between. One might making the artwork. Doing the head sketch is a little bit dicier, so I'm going to do some tests on it. But the color is great. These are the trading cards right here, for Phantomas and Lascivia. Which are going to be the first two with book one. And then this is if I can find it here, the full color proof. And actually, oh, what am I? I'm such a man. Let me tell you something. I'm too damn old to be alive at this point. Hang on a second. It's like I've got all the technology at my disposal, and as my mentor Brian Stelfrey said, he goes, the problem isn't the technology. He goes, the problem is the lack of knowledge. And every now and again, I remember that and I laugh. So let me see if I can do settings. Let's do camera. And let me see if I can make this happen. There we go. So here, right here on my art desk, here is the proof for Nosfero the Crypt Walker. And for those of you guys, you can see all my paints and stuff. For those of you guys who've seen my other art books, the thing you got to bear in mind is that let me adjust the light a little bit here. The thing that we're going for with this stuff is, and why the proof process took a couple of passes for me, is I want the art to feel like you're looking at the artwork. And I want you to see all of that crazy detail that you've been watching on streams, right? And have it be sublime. So this proof is printed on the paper you're going to get in the book. So all of my proofs are run on the finished paper. And just so people understand, because I can't actually do this with the actual books, this is, I'll hold like just one side of it. This is how thick the paper stock is. This is very serious paper stock. And so if you know what it's like to get those, it's actually, the paper stock's heavier than most of my prestige format books. But if you know what those books are like, then you know, got all this dust on it now, but you know the quality that we're talking about. So square bound, prestige format, and it's the print cost on this. I will sum it up in one word that it won't be specific, but it will get the point across. You guys are worth what we're paying to print this book. That's the price I'll tell you it is.
Yeah.
Because we want you guys to have the best. It was not a lengthy conversation between me and the missus. It's the same thing with ordering a second proof. I'll pay the extra money to make sure that you get it, because every bit of the way, and what it says on, I love the super smooth uncoated. That's the big debate today. It's like, you know, this book is about what you guys have done for my wife, for my kids, and special thanks to my brother, of course, and all of these amazing creators, lettering by Eric Weathers, but also, and all of my backers. When you get to the end of this book right here, and I think it's such an important thing for people who have never been in, aren't in the space and are new to this space to hear. We've got all of my creative brothers there. Of course, first up, we've got John Malin listed there for being the first man over the wall. We've got Ethan, we've got EVS, we've got Michael Bance in there. We've got all of my boys in there. But my favorite part of this would be this last paragraph here. 660 backers made Nosfero the Crypt Walker possible. They paid for brushes, board, paint, and supported my family in our leap of faith. The impact of their support is beyond evaluation. And that's what it comes to. So you got the making of stuff in the back of the book, shows the layout pages, all that stuff you guys wanted. We made sure we got it for you. So it's on, y'all.
Yes.
What we're doing.
Man, this is beautiful.
It's going to be fun, man. I can't wait. I just cannot wait to get this to people. So yeah, we're doing it, man.
I can't wait for that, and to see the rest of the stuff you do, man, and to see JUDEX. Thank you guys so much for being here, backing, spreading the word, and continue to spread the word on this too, because it doesn't stop here. We want to keep making these for a really long time. If you guys love the stuff you saw on the Lost page with the Masquerade, please back that. And if you're digging the stuff you're seeing out from Global Frequency, JUDEX, and Michael Odin, support them. Go tell your friends. There's not just this book on here. There's also that short one-shot with JUDEX and Black Terror, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing some kick-ass crossovers in this space over here, and amazing art. So thank you guys so much for watching. Go find another stream. Tell them we sent you. And hopefully we get to do this again sometime soon, Shanth.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. If you guys want it, we'll make it happen. That's it. So let us know in the chat by sharing it out, hitting that like, comment. It does help us push back on this silliness. So comment.
Yes,
we love you.
Leave some cool comments down below. And then we'll see you tonight at 9 for the hard line with our boys. Myself do a stream every Monday night. We'll see you then. And until then, you guys have a good rest of your day and have a great week too. Have a good one.
Absolutely.
Bye,
God bless
everybody.
you.
See ya.